All right, welcome into Double Fries, No Slaw. It is Wednesday night. We've got 3 more of these things to go, so thank you for hanging out. If you did tune in to hang out, the preview episode for Florida State against Notre Dame this Saturday evening, 7:30 Eastern on NBC. You guys can't blame ESPN for sticking us with the night game tonight or this weekend. Appreciate BetUS, appreciate Guthrie's, Rhoback, all those that do support us. We will certainly give them some love here in a little bit. Richie, we've got I don't even know if it's a fun one. This is a game that I had plans earlier, Richie, to go to. We'll jump right in. Let me give Guthrie some love, and then we'll jump in. We'll make this one a little bit shorter. But because I just don't know how many of you truly do care about game previews at this point, but we signed up to do these, and so here we are still fulfilling our end of the agreement. Double Fries No Slaw brought to you by Guthrie's. You can visit all 3 of their locations, 1818 West Tennessee, 2550 North Monroe, and 2870 Appalachian Parkway. Make sure that you tell them Double Fries No Slaw sent you. Make sure you get your gut box that way. Hey, any of y'all that went out and supported the soccer team on Sunday night, appreciate you. They picked up a big win to go to the semifinals, which they play tomorrow night, Thursday evening. If you're anywhere near a TV, make sure that you're tuned in on Thursday night or have an eye on that game. They play against Wake Forest, who I believe they lost to earlier in the year, and need a little payback. Sometimes the ACC tournament is tougher than the actual College Cup, the Final Four, and in fact, a lot of times the Final Four, the College Cup, is basically the ACC tournament. We'll have 3 or 4 ACC teams in there. And so, big shout out to the ladies. Hopefully they can go out and get another win and then get geared up for the postseason. I believe the ACC semifinals Thursday night, finals I think are on Sunday. ACC championship on Sunday if they win on Thursday evening. Richie, this was a game that I was going to go to. I had all intentions of going to this game. I have Notre Dame buddies. One lives in Chicago. One lives down here by me in just outside of Tampa. Both of them Notre Dame guys. I was going to go with both of them. I was actually going to go with one of my buddies that works over at Guthrie's and is my contact there. And so we had plans to go up. We had, kind of flights tentatively ready to go. We had places to stay because I've got a couple of buddies that live up there in Chicago. And 1 and 8 will cause you to cancel some plans. And so if you guys are going up to the game, shout out to you, shout out to the people that are going. But there's no way. And you know what sucks? I was talking with a buddy about this today, and then we'll go. I'll let you finally talk because I've been rambling for 3 minutes. But what sucks is it's actually good weather. Like it's going to be like between 50 and 60. So it would actually be bearable for like a November game, a second week in November game. It wouldn't have been terrible. Like early in the year, I was thinking, well, I'll go sit in the cold because it'll be a top 10, top 15 matchup. I'll sacrifice for that. This is actually going to be good weather. It may rain a little bit, but other than that, like it's not going to be miserable. That might upset me the most. So, Richie, I assume you're not going up this weekend.
No, but talking about the weather there, the last time I went to that game was the Willie Taggart year was either 18 or 19, I forget. But it was at the time the coldest temperature at kickoff in recorded history for Notre Dame for a football game. It was like 26 degrees, I think. It was miserable. Obviously, the product on the field was not good, but man, I had a blast. If you guys are going up there, I hope you're staying in Chicago, which is one of the greatest American cities that there is. So much good food, good scenery, good things to do. And the Chicago Seminole Club does a phenomenal job. I think they had 17 buses that went from Chicago to South Bend and brought us back. And we had a blast outside of the 3.5 hours of the game, which is something I've been saying way too much this season. But shout out to the Chicago Seminole Club. And if you are going up, hopefully you're not staying in South Bend because that is just a miserable city. Notre Dame is one of the most beautiful campuses I've ever seen. And walking around there was snow on the ground. It was beautiful, but there is nothing to see in South Bend. So stay in Chicago, link up with this Chicago Seminole Club, and take the bus over.
Yeah. I see William's comment. Just because we don't have a lot of comments tonight, I'll answer it. You should go. Who cares if they're going to lose? Yeah, it's more about just if I go to a game, we usually try to do a tailgate or we try to do some kind of something around that. If I can't do a tailgate, which is hard to do in Notre Dame, then I try to do like content around it. And so like I'll do a reaction after the game. I can't believe why, but I'll do a reaction after the game. It'll be easier for doing our show on Sunday and stuff like that. So yeah, like, and I like to watch other college football games too. So to go up there and watch an unenjoyable product.
And we have a good slate this weekend, actually. So
what I'll tell you, Richie, is remember that 2019 game? Like we covered the spread in that game. I want to say we lost by 16. And we had a chance kind of late. Like we were down there, and I think we missed on a 4th down and goal or 4th and 10 from around the 10, right? Like we were close.
Yeah.
We had a chance to cut it to 1 score. And it
Martin Terry had the big touchdown catch. Yeah.
Yeah. I want to say we were like somewhat competitive in it. Like we covered the spread and we moral victoried the hell out of that game. So I don't expect that to happen this week. Well, we can jump right into it, man. There's really not a ton that we, need to break down with this team with where they kind of are right now. But it all kind of starts up at the top. Well, you wrote this, but yeah, Florida State, a 25.5 point dog. You can get that over at BetUS. We'll talk about them in a moment. But 7:30 on NBC, 25.5 point dog. Actually, I'll just give them the love right now really quickly. You can use YouTube 150 if you want to bet on this game, if you think Florida State should be a bigger dog, or if you think we cover. YouTube 150 will give you 150% bonus, and on your first deposit, your next 2 deposits are 125%. Appreciate BetUS for always supporting us. There's the YouTube code right there, YouTube 150. I've deposited, I've won, I've lost, I've cashed out. It's all safe. It's all really good to go. So go check out BetUS. Appreciate those of you who have already signed up. Those deposit bonuses up to $2,000. So it's not a cheap one where you get like $100 match or anything, up to $2,000. Richie, 25.5 point dogs is insane. If I'd have told you that before the season, you'd have called me crazy. Just probably not expecting the Seminoles to be competitive here. It is a sod game. It is a game that I wonder if they pack the scissors. Do you think they actually pack the scissors?
It's college football, man. Anything can happen. So I think they'll pack the scissors. Maybe not sod scissors, but ones that just to cut like athletic tape off ankles or something. And they'll use that if they have to. But that's where we're at. But 25.5, man. I'm pretty sure I need to go back and listen. But I think I picked us to lose this game in our game-by-game preview.
Oh, well, congratulations.
Yeah. And I think I had us at either 10-2 or 11-1. My goodness, was I off.
Okay, so William's 2 for 2 on comments, man. William, play a noise for William, even though he didn't do a super chat, Harlan.
You're fired. Get out of here.
Yeah, exactly. Good timing there. William, I thought about doing that for Miami, doing a live watch party on YouTube. Here's the biggest problem with that. Number one, I want to watch LSU, Notre Dame, or Alabama. Second, like we try to keep these pretty PG, maybe PG-13 every once in a while. Like it would be pretty R-rated. I'd be worried about YouTube flagging me. Like I can usually keep it together, but like I still care too much. So anyway, if I can get Harlan in here to mute me every time I'm about to go off. That's the other thing too. Yeah, Ed mentioned this, Richie. I was going to ask it, and then we'll talk about the game. What are they doing with all these rocks? Like, what are they doing with the rock every week? I hate to make it.
Like, and I don't think it happens, but it would be hilarious if Florida State somehow did get out of the ACC and started in the Big Ten or SEC next year, and you have all these rocks just laying around. Because you're not breaking any of them. You've broken 1 rock out of 9 this year. I hope they are just leaving them in the middle of the locker room as a reminder to this team that you have not lived up anywhere close to what the expectations were. Like, that'd be one thing if you're, I don't know, 6-2. Like, that'd be disappointing based on what we thought coming into the season. But yeah, 1-8. You need to just pile all 8 of those rocks. It'll be 9 after Saturday. Spoiler for the end of the show. And just let the players look at them and say, listen, these are the rocks that you have not broken because you guys have not shown up on weekends this year.
Maybe they should play Don't Be Fooled by the Rocks That I Got. Is that too? All right. Some serious stuff now.
Easy but funny.
Yeah, easy dad joke there. So, yeah, I don't know, man. Maybe they're just shaving the top layer off and they just repaint the other team on it. And so I don't know. That is a lot of rocks to have to
They
carry
look
around.
like expensive rocks too. Like,
Well, they're not making cinematic recaps, so I guess they have the availability of people to go out and actually like put them together. Dude, imagine your job. Okay, last thing. People are going to get so mad at this. I don't really care, man. This is not a serious team. This is not a serious program right now. So this doesn't have to be a serious preview. Imagine your job though, because if they beat Notre Dame, they will put out a cinematic recap. You know, how you do one thing is seriously not how you do the rest. Imagine being the guy who has had to or the people who have to film for cinematic recaps through the whole game, through the 4-hour game. And then you get to the end, you're like, I just did 4 hours worth of work for nothing. I mean, you get paid, right? Like Florida State's actually paying these people, I believe. And so, but imagine like you're the cinematic recap, like filmer, like the editors who cares? They never start editing. It's the people that are filming it the whole time. So yeah, the people that pack the scissors, the people that make the rocks, and the people that film the cinematic recaps, what are they doing during these games? So,
Yeah.
all right. Yeah, Hunter's super chat, 1-11 until at 8. Hunter, I appreciate you. Harlan, you can play the other one if you want.
Yeah, well,
You're fired.
thankfully we get a bye week, and then we can break down Charleston Southern next
Dude,
week.
yeah, maybe we'll just do a call-in for Charleston Southern. I have nothing to say about that team or this team. Florida will be fun because we'll have Allie on. It'll be Thanksgiving week. But other than that, like, just – anyway, Riley Leonard up top, Richie. We saw him last year. He was a little hobbled, a little banged up. And I don't believe he finished that game, right? He did come out early.
Yeah,
He's been pretty good this year. I've talked with some Notre Dame folks. I'd say they're a little bit disappointed in overall what they've gotten out of him. He has played a little bit better these last couple of weeks. They kind of turned it on when they played Navy. I think Navy was probably a little overrated at that point. Now Navy's lost 2 games since then. But he's been a little better lately. Not a guy that's just going to, wow you. Like, however, look what UNC's quarterback did. Like, he's certainly better than UNC's quarterback from last week. And so, yeah, Riley Leonard thoughts. I mean, it certainly worries me that he is mobile, but maybe that, less running back carries are probably a good thing for Florida State. So just thoughts on Riley Leonard and having to see him again for another year in a row.
Yeah, I think we were lucky last year. He had the, ankle issue going on. So, that kind of helped us a little bit. And even then, that was a close game for 2.5 quarters until Florida State kind of pulled away from Duke. He got a big payday from Notre Dame in NIL to go there. And, I think they were kind of regretting that after they lost to Northern Illinois. But since then, they've had some good wins. They beat a good Louisville team. They've not lost since. They're number 10 in the country, I believe. They're definitely right in the thick of it for the playoff. I think this is a team that, a quarterback at the helm that is very capable. And with Florida State's third down inconsistency, his mobility, to your point, I think he's averaging 6.3 yards per carry, which includes the sacks on the year. So, those don't really count. So he's probably closer to 6.7, 6.8. A good quarterback, one of the better ones you'll see, probably the best quarterback you'll see the rest of the season. And, he has me worried. I'm not going to lie, especially on those third downs. He can extend plays. I don't think they have any real extreme threats at receiver, but, our secondary has proven they don't know how to defend for more than 3 or 4 seconds. And Riley Leonard is definitely somebody who can extend a play longer than that.
Yeah, I don't know how worried I am. I understand how you're using that and why you're using that at this point. Like, it kind of is what it is. But yeah, like, he's a guy that is very capable and probably one of the better. He's not as good as Cam Ward. He's probably on Cade Klubnik's level. Maybe his ceiling, I don't know. His floor is probably a little higher. His ceiling might be a little lower if Cade plays his absolute best. But to me, he's around Cade's level. Certainly not anywhere near where Cam Ward is. He's probably not as good as Kevin Jennings was when you went to Dallas. But like the quarterback play that you're going to see is going to be really good. They've got 2 really good running backs, that you wrote here, average over 6 yards a carry. That has been what did North Carolina have 225 last week, or did they get to 250? They ran the ball like crazy, and I expect Notre Dame to be able to kind of establish the run and play, move the ball at will. I don't have a lot of confidence in this team. Last week, I do expect that they'll show up to start the game, but last week they did quit. And I think they're just playing the rest of these games out. I don't think they care that much. We kept saying like, oh, well, it's just a couple of guys. It's just this. It's just that. It is hard when you see the guys around you starting to quit, and the coaching staff refuses to bench them, even though they are quitting. It is hard to, in my opinion, to go and give 1,000,000% effort when the guys beside you are giving up and quitting. So, yeah, I think that they will move the ball pretty well. Pretty efficiently. You wrote this: the running back or the wide receivers not especially good by any means. They're very average, but no like real deep threats. Sorry, I don't want to take anything away from them, but I'm assuming they'll be. Florida State's not getting a lot of pass rush this year, and so I'm sure they'll find their way open. And Riley Leonard's very capable to be able to give them the ball and put the ball on them and be pretty accurate. And so I expect that Notre Dame's going to be able to move the ball pretty efficiently and pretty effectively against a defense that, against quality competition, when you think about this, well, quality competition, quality. They give up, Richie, I think 1,450 yards to Clemson, Miami, and North Carolina. Like 1,450 yards, 1,450. That's like with sack yardage adjusted out, right? Like you got a few sacks on those teams. So like minus sack yardage, like you gave up 1,500 yards to those three teams.
And North Carolina's trash.
Yeah,
that's you're good. I'll give them that. Clemson and Miami are good, but North Carolina's trash. So yeah, that's an astonishing number.
So Notre Dame going for 500 on Saturday night would not surprise me at all. Now, I have a take on this game that maybe is a little bit of a hot take. I'll give it later, but when we do our predictions. But yeah, I expect Notre Dame's offense to move the ball pretty effectively.
Yeah, it's to the point where I don't think this team wants to be there. You're showing up to show up, and it's not about. Well, I want to earn my NIL check. No, you're on the team, so you make the decision. I'm just showing up to be here, and I think we saw that last week. All season long, I've been of the opinion that this team has not quit. They quit last week. That was, we talked about it Sunday. That was one of the worst losses in Florida State history. In my lifetime, at least in the last 36 years, just the way it looked, the way the team looked like they didn't care. They were just there going through the motions. And I think we're going to get a lot more of that. Who knows? Maybe you take the opening kickoff for a touchdown, or you have a big drive to start the game and you get some fight in you. But if Notre Dame comes out and goes up 7-0, 10-0, 14-0, blowout city is fully in effect at that point, because this team just does not care. I think they've quit on themselves, and I think I've quit on their coaching staff.
Yeah. We got a good super chat we'll get to in a minute. Omar, that's a good question. We'll answer it in just a sec. But they did lose the NIU game, haven't lost since. They're a team that looks like they're going to go to the playoff. They do play Army. They do play us, obviously, and they do play USC down the stretch. I don't see them losing any of those. Now, football is weird, and weird things happen. But, they look like a playoff-type team. There's the controversy of should a team that loses Northern Illinois make it? I don't know, man. It's hard for me to say that too many other teams that have 2 or 3 losses. Should a 3-loss SEC team really go over them? Like, I'm not convinced of that. Should the loser of Alabama LSU should just get in over Notre Dame? I don't know that I'm buying that. So I think that's fine, right? They don't have any really good wins. I guess A&M's a good one to start the year, but they're certainly capable. As far as Notre Dame's defense, I don't know that it's really worth talking about Notre Dame's defense too much. Florida State's offense is significantly incompetent. And again, we talked about it's probably why Norvell hasn't made any decisions on defensive staff, because the offense is so much worse. And so, I don't know how much we really need to break down Notre Dame's defense. It's good. It's as good as it's probably as capable as anything we've seen. Like top to bottom, I think it's probably better than Miami's, and it's just as good, if not better, than Clemson's. So probably the best defense you've seen all year. Right now that I'm saying that out loud.
One of them, It's and it's to your point. There's really not much point boring our listeners talking about how our completely inept offense is going to try and move the ball against this team, because it's not going to happen. I'm telling you right now. I cannot wait for this season to be over, TJ. I will continue to show up every Sunday, every Wednesday, because I do love Florida State with a passion, and I will watch every game. But man, just the thought of this, like I'm so excited for the Charleston Southern game, and that's so sad to say because I think we can win that game. But we're talking Notre Dame right now. But yeah, that's where I am on this season.
So let's answer Omar's question, then we'll give Rhoback some love. We'll get into our pick six, and then we'll start to roll. But do you guys? This is a good question. I've got to take Richie. We'll get yours too. Omar, appreciate the love here. Do you think Norvell was always an average level coach, and that the talent at FSU masked his horrible coaching? So my quick answer to that would be no. Like, I don't think so. People want to yell at Jimbo for, what did he do without Jameis and all those other guys on the 13 team? Well, part of coaching in college football is assembling a roster. And so Norvell absolutely gets credit for bringing those guys in. And I know that it's really trendy to say like, oh, we just got a bunch of one-year rentals, but that's not really what he did. Keon, one-year rental. Braden Fisk, one-year rental. I get that. But most of those transfers were guys with like zero production, or they were playing at a D2 level, like an Albany or whatever, and they stayed for a couple of years. Johnny Wilson a couple of years.
Trey Benson.
Benson a couple of years. Jordan was here for 4 years. And so, I don't know that I would buy that. I don't know that I buy that he was just an average level coach. You go back and look at what his offenses did at Arizona State. You go back and look at what he did at Memphis. And I would say no, like he didn't just all of a sudden forget how to coach football. I also think that you can have a whole bunch of talent. And I think Florida State does have a whole bunch of talent on this team. And just because they had a lot of talent last year doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to win as many games as you do, right? There's a lot of talented teams. Look at A&M once Jimbo got there that are really, really talented. I think LSU was more talented than Florida State last year, and you still throttled them both years. And so, no, I would not agree that Norvell is just an average coach to a bad coach that just I don't buy the whole caught lightning in a bottle. He had to coach that team and had to make them really good, right? There were years that Kobe and Shaq, Phil Jackson always coached Kobe or Shaq or Michael, but there were years when Phil wasn't coaching Michael, and look what the Bulls were doing. There were years where Phil wasn't the coach for Kobe and Shaq, and look what the Lakers were doing. So, no, I do think that Norvell is, it certainly his reputation has taken a hit, but I don't think last year was just some kind of fluke, right? Just looking at his overall career. Now, all that said, like, is he in over his head right now? Did he also, does he also get credit for destroying the program or having it fall off the cliff this year? Absolutely. But I don't think that takes away from winning 19 games in a row over the 2 years before that. I even think in 2021, and I'll wrap up and let Richie answer. I even think in 2021, they started out 0-4 and he went 5-3 down the stretch. And the 3 losses were, one against Clemson where they had a lead with 3 minutes to go. One against Florida and on the road as a 3-point dog, and then one against NC State where your quarterback was hurt and you had a bunch of guys out with the flu, and they covered the spread in all 3 of those games. And so, I don't think so. I think you can look at the end of 21, all of 22, all of 23, and say like, no, he's probably still he didn't just forget. I think what would be best for him is to start over somewhere else and not have to dig his way out of this again with everything that's happened. But I don't think so. Richie, what are your thoughts there?
Yeah, I think most people listening, if you're a diehard, you probably know the name, but if you're just a casual listener, and I don't know how many casual listeners are tuning in for a 1-8 preview against Notre Dame, but the name Brady White, right? Mike Norvell had a phenomenal season with him as his quarterback at Memphis. He had several very good years at Memphis, and clearly he built the program from 3-6 to 5-7 to 10-3 to 13-0. He is a good coach. I just think he made some very, very poor miscalculations, and I don't know if he can recover from those. And that sucks because I think if at his next job, because I don't think he's going to be here 3-4 years from now, I think at his next job, he could absolutely, he's still young, he could reinvent himself and become one of the top 10 coaches in college football again. I think he's not forgotten how to coach, but I think he just made so many miscalculations, whether it be the roster, his coaching staff, the organization as a whole. And I don't know if he can recover at Florida State, but I do think he could recover somewhere else. And that's kind of where my thoughts are with him.
Yeah, it is a good question though, because I do think that narrative is so so prevalent. Like, oh, he just one time caught lightning in a bottle. I
No,
just
we
don't think we
saw
really
the
see that in college.
improvement from year to year. Even
Yeah,
that
we
5 and
certainly
7
improved.
year, you felt really good about the end of that season.
Yeah, and you also like it. If you want to say like at Florida State did that, like because his overall right. But are you going to discount everything he did at Memphis, and the success he had there, and so. Yeah, I wouldn't say that. I think he could still be a good coach. I don't know if that it's going to happen at Florida State, unfortunately.
Yeah, agree.
Richie, but that's a great question, Omar, and I appreciate you sending it in. Richie, can you give some love to Rhoback, and then we'll do a pick six, and we'll start to roll here.
Yeah, definitely. Again, so excited that Rhoback has decided to partner with us this year. Some of the best polos, hoodies, joggers, you name it. It is so comfortable. I'm wearing the Hesse Performance hoodie right now. Beyond comfortable. Trust me, I would not say that if TJ and I, we will not do a partnership or a sponsorship with a company we do not truly believe in, and we believe in Rhoback. So go to rhoback.com, RHOBACK.com. Use promo code DFNS20, and you will get 20% off your first time order. And guys, if you buy from them once, trust me, you'll buy from them again. I've been saying it every week, and I'm just going to say it the rest of the season. Just because your team sucks doesn't mean that your attire on game day has to. Definitely get some Rhoback. And if you don't even want to buy the Florida State gear, they have a ton of other awesome gear. I'm not wearing a Florida State Rhoback right now, just the performance one. So RHOBACK.com, DFNS20 will get you 20% off your first time purchase.
All right, so looking at this pick six, Richie, this week, some fun games. Miami's an 11-point favorite at Georgia Tech. I'll tell you, I think the Canes win this and roll Georgia Tech. I understand what happened last year. I understand they've been playing with fire. I think Miami rolls and wins at Georgia Tech by 14 or more. What are your thoughts there?
Georgia Tech, I think they cover. I think Miami wins. I just think they've had too many close calls that, eventually it's going to catch up with them. I don't think it's this week, but I do think there's another close call.
UF at Texas. Florida is a 21.5-point dog. Not really sure what's going on with Lagway in that game. My friend Allie does a pretty good show on here, A Peek Inside the Gators. If you want to see her preview, it comes on in an hour. So 8:30. If you want to, some of you trolls want to go give Florida a hard time, you certainly can go over there and do that next. I'll take Texas here, but I do think that whether or not Lagway plays probably matters. If Lagway plays, I don't know how effective he'll be. She's kind of the opinion that he probably won't play. But again, we'll see when she does her preview. I haven't chatted with her, and so I don't really know what's coming there. But yeah, I'll lean Texas on this one. Give me even with the points, 21.5. I think Texas rolls.
2 for 2, we disagree. I'm going to take Florida. I thought their defense honestly impressed me against Georgia last week. I know they gave up 34 points, but I thought the defense looked solid. And I think we're at the point in the season for playoff contenders where they just want to get the game in control and get out of there. But they're not trying to run up the score. Texas does not need style points. I think Florida, I think it's close. I could see Texas winning by 17-21, but that hook, I'm gonna give the edge to Florida there.
Over 2 on us agreeing. Georgia is a 2.5-point favorite at Ole Miss. Georgia's played like crap recently. You mentioned, Florida's defense playing well. Carson Beck threw a ton of picks. I think he's got 9 in his last 3 games. He has been bad throwing the ball. And I'll still take UGA until Lane proves he can win a big game. Even though this is at home, this is Ole Miss's chance to win it too. But I'll still take UGA to cover and win at Ole Miss. 2.5 points there.
3 for 3. I'm taking Ole Miss money line, and I will be putting money on it.
Michigan is a 14-point dog at Indiana. I don't know that we would ever assume that. Yeah, you can go first here. Let's see if we go for. I've gone first 3 times in a row, so I'm sorry for stealing all the thunder, so that we can disagree. I already know what my pick is, but you tell me yours first, and then I'll go.
I will not go money line. I might sprinkle some on the money line. Michigan's going to cover the spread. I'm all in on Michigan on this one. I think Indiana is a good team. Are they the 8th best team in the country? I don't think so.
Yeah, 4 for 4. I like Indiana to run up the style points, mostly because I do think that they need it. I think they need to beat big brands like this.
This is your recap show for this one.
Yeah, this is we have to figure out that next week's just going to be one of us talking so much crap after the way these games go down. I like Indiana to cover. I think they cover and win going away. Maybe just right by that, maybe like 17, but I do think Indiana covers. Clemson is a 6.5-point favorite at Virginia Tech. I like Clemson to bounce back here and win this by a touchdown. Virginia Tech's miserable right now, too. They want to fire Brent Pry. I do think Clemson covers and wins by a touchdown or more.
We finally agree. I think Clemson by 14, 17 plus. I think the spread is way too low. I'm taking Clemson here.
And then finally, Colorado. Colorado can play themselves into the Big 12 championship if Kansas State beats Iowa State the last week of the year. Colorado's a 3.5-point favorite at Texas Tech. Yeah, there's no drama in this one now that we agreed on the last one. But I do think Colorado covers. I think Texas Tech's a little bit overrated. I know they beat Iowa State last week. Iowa State nearly lost to UCF right before that. So I think Iowa State was a little bit overrated. I'm not sold on Texas Tech. Texas Tech got blown out by Baylor. They lost to TCU. So yeah, I think Colorado ends up covering here. Sign me up. I'm on the Deion hype train right now.
Yeah, so we'll agree on 2 of 4 or 2 of 6. Yeah, I'm with Colorado. I think Deion has actually built a really solid program. It stinks because we're not going to see what it looks like long term. Because I'd be shocked if he's still at Colorado next year. But I do think Travis Hunter is on the Heisman watch, and I think he should win the Heisman. We'll see what happens. He's definitely the best football player in the country by far. I don't think it's close. But give me Colorado on this one.
So you did the pick 6 here. I'm going to make it a pick 7. Alabama's a 3-point favorite at LSU. I like LSU to cover this. I'll take the points at home. LSU has lost 4 games at home, going back for a long, long time. Now, I will say, all 4 of those games are 2 teams from the state of Alabama, once to Auburn, once to Troy in their miserable year, and then twice to Nick Saban. But I think LSU wins this. Alabama's got a bunch of issues. LSU's got a bunch of issues. And so it's hard to handicap a game where both teams turn the ball over a ton and play inconsistently. I'll just take the home team. I'll say I think LSU wins this one.
Roll Tide. Kalen DeBoer gets his signature win that he so desperately needs after losing to both Tennessee schools, Tennessee and Vanderbilt. Roll Tide. My wife, obviously a huge Alabama fan. And I do think they are the better team. And I think Kalen DeBoer gets the win that he so desperately needs. And I'm taking Alabama to win by 6 points.
Yeah, I speaking of Vandy and Tennessee winning, I saw last night it said Diego Pavia wins the state of Alabama. It was all I thought that was pretty good. So election humor. All right, Harlan, what's your score pick? Richie, what's your score pick? And let's get out of here.
Notre Dame 38, Florida State 10.
So we don't cover the spread for you. So here's my take. I've got it. Notre Dame 38, Florida State. I'm going to go 16. I'm going to say we do get 3 field goals and then 1 fluky touchdown. I know that's a lot of scoring. But I'm going to say we do cover. And the reason why, I think Notre Dame is going to play this. Here's my honest take. Now, they might run it up. But Notre Dame doesn't need style points either. They just need to go 11-1 and they're fine. So I think they're going to play this kind of like thanks for clarifying Notre Dame, Harlan. Harlan's got 37-14 Notre Dame. I do think that Notre Dame is going to play this like Clemson did, like Miami did, not necessarily trying to run up the score, just being conservative, not trying to get injured, not trying to make mistakes, get out with the time of possession and the win. I don't think they need to win by 70. I don't think they care. They don't need style points. They need to protect Riley Leonard. They need to protect their starters. I think they'll get up by a lot. Florida State maybe scores late with their backups. Yeah, so Florida State matches their season total, their season high in the U.S. for 16 points. And, 35-16 or something like that. 38.
16, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so something like that. It's not competitive. It's not close. And then we're 2 games away from this season being unburdened by what has been. So, Richie, any shout outs before we get out of here?
Yeah, just shout out to our women's soccer team. Like you said, great win at the open of the show. Our football team is not good this year, but we do have a lot of really good sports programs, especially men's and women's golf. So there is some things to be proud about if you're not just a football only person. So shout out to the sports programs that are carrying their weight right now.
Yeah, pretty much everybody else except for football.
Yeah.
If we're being honest, volleyball's really good, soccer's really good, all the things. So yeah, I don't have any shout outs. My wife and daughter have been sick all week, so they're a little bit better. So shout out to them for, I guess, getting over or mostly getting over what they've had. So other than that, I don't have much. Appreciate again BetUS, appreciate Guthrie's, appreciate Rhoback for their support. Hey, if you checked in tonight, thanks for hanging out. We're not very good, but at least we have fun on here. So thank you guys for hanging out. We will talk to you soon. Enjoy the Alabama LSU game that's on at the same time as our Noles this weekend. It will be a little more fun. So appreciate you guys. As always, go Noles.